Welcome back to my channel, mother suckers. Hey, I know y'all already heard that Tory Lanez has been sentenced to 10 years in prison, so let's get into it. The Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon announced that Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez, was sentenced to 10 years in state prison after he was convicted by a jury of the 2020 attack and shooting of musical artist Megan Pete, also known as Megan Thee Stallion, in Hollywood Hills. Over the past 3 years, Mr. Peterson has engaged in a pattern of conduct that was intended to intimidate Miss Pete and silence her truths from being heard, District Attorney Gascon has said. Women, especially Black women, are afraid to report crimes like assault because they are too often not believed. I commend Megan Pete for her incredible bravery and vulnerability as she underwent months of probing, investigation, and court appearances where she had to relive her trauma and the public scrutiny that followed. Last year, after 7 hours of deliberation, Mr. Peterson was found guilty by jurors of 1 count of assault with an automatic firearm and found true the allegations that he caused great bodily injury and used a firearm. He was also convicted of 1 count of carrying an unregistered loaded firearm in a vehicle and 1 count of discharge of a firearm with gross negligence. Jurors were presented with evidence showing that on July 12, 2020, Peterson and the victim were riding in an SUV in the Hollywood Hills. The victim got out of the vehicle and Peterson shot 5 times at the victim and wounded her. In a written statement read out loud in court, Megan Thee Stallion said she struggled with whether to attend in person and her absence should not be seen as anything other than her preserving her mental well-being. She says, since Tory Lanez shot her, I have not experienced a single day of peace. Megan said mercy is for people who show remorse, and Lanez has shown none. Megan Thee Stallion thanked the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office for their support and says she wants Lanez's sentencing to be a message for every woman who's a victim of violence. He not only shot me, he made a mockery of my trauma. He tried to position himself as a victim and set out to destroy my character and my soul. He lied to anyone that would listen and paid bloggers to disseminate false information about the case on social media. He released music videos and songs to damage my character and continue his crusade, she continued. At first, he tried to deny the shooting ever happened. Then he attempted to place the blame on my former best friend. In his tantrum of lies, he blames the system, blamed the press, and, as of late, he's using his childhood trauma to shield himself and avoid culpability. She said that Tory Lanez must be forced to face the full consequences of his heinous actions and face justice. However, Tory Lanez continues to maintain his innocence. His lawyer argued he has an alcohol use disorder because of post-traumatic stress disorder and an anxiety disorder, and they asked he be released from jail on probation and to a residential substance abuse program. Now, next I want to get into the letters. So Tory Lanez's lawyers also submitted 76 character reference letters from friends and family and other supporters. The writers include singer Iggy Azalea, a police chief and a state representative from Missouri, and a doctor who treated Tory Lanez for hair loss. So culture vulture Karen is being dragged on Twitter, rightfully so, after her letter asking the judge to impose a sentence that was transformational and not life-destroying went public. This was her response. She tweeted, "For the record, I have not been in touch with Tory for months. I have no reason to be, but I do wish him well. 2, I don't support anyone. The whole thing is full of oddities. My letter never mentioned anything in regard to what happened that night. 3, I was told this was for a judge only, yet it's being discussed in public. I never intended to publicly comment. 4, I am not in support of throwing away anyone's life if we can give reasonable punishments that are rehabilitative. Instead, I support prison reform, period. 5, I was asked to write about my genuine experience and the type of punishment I think he deserves. I did. It's not really that interesting, but I understand why it's being sensationalized. See y'all next week to discuss pizza toppings, I suppose, LOL."
Get the hell out of here!
Tommy, bitch!
Right away! Sit down.
This is literally the most relevant Iggy has had in years. And she said that the case was full of oddities, but the only thing that I find odd here is that Iggy is speaking out about prison reform. I have never heard Never seen, never even thought of Iggy protest an active advocate for prison reform. If y'all could find me that, I'll take my words back, but I'm not. Because let's be real, had Tory shot an Australian white woman, there would be no discussion about prison reform. So Izzy, go ahead and I'm gonna need you to have several seats. She said that she never intended to make a public comment and she thought this was for the judge's eyes only. Okay, so you basically thought you would be able to get away with defending Tory Lanez in private. You didn't want to do it in public, but you wanted to do that in private. Y'all see how they do? Okay. I saw this tweet and I agree with it 100%. Iggy Azalea is a walking embodiment of how white women will fetishize black womanhood, from co-opting our speech and vernacular to paying thousands to replicate our physical aesthetics to birthing, I would say, half black children, but will refuse to stand in solidarity with black women because they want to replace us. They want to replace us. And it's never gonna happen. You just don't got the juice, you don't got the sauce, you don't have the Eve gene. It's not possible. Jazz Marie said, you look like an egg with eyes and your music has always been ass. An egg with eyes is crazy, not a boiled egg with eyes. Put Iggy Azalea in the jail cell with Tory since she's so supportive. And honestly, I'm not surprised that Iggy Azalea fixed her fingers to say that shooting a black woman doesn't warrant a prolonged prison sentence. You know, I'm not surprised whatsoever. She could go to hell and go to jail right along with Tory Lanez. So now I want to get into Tory Lanez lawyers and Tory Lanez defenders or supporters and how they're all of a sudden switching up. Okay, so remember in the beginning it was Tory is innocent. Tory didn't do it. Then it went to Kelsey did it. And now it's he didn't do it, but if he did, it wasn't malicious. It was because he's addicted to alcohol. So in this article written by Megan Cuniff, she says Tory Lanez's lawyer wants him sentenced to probation for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. A new filing says the rapper maintains his innocence and that his case is so unusual it warrants an exponentially light sentence of probation instead of prison. Rapper Tory Lanez's lawyers want him released from jail into a residential drug treatment program when he's sentenced next week, which is today, for shooting Meg Thee Stallion, saying he will benefit from therapy for his alcoholism and traumatic childhood. His lawyer says that assuming the allegations are true, Mr. Peterson's psychological, physical, and childhood trauma was a factor in the commission of the offense. Girl. Likewise, the current offense is connected to Mr. Peterson's childhood trauma and mental illness, alcohol use disorder, referring to Lanez's legal name, Daystar Peterson. Mr. Peterson alcohol use disorder, although not amounting to a defense, reduced his culpability. So hold on, because y'all said that Meg was the alcoholic. And I will agree that she was abusing alcohol at the time. You know, she had lost her mother. And she was dealing with a lot of emotional trauma, right? So the world painted Megan Thee Stallion as the alcoholic. But now Tory Lanez's lawyers is saying, if the allegations are true, it is because Tory Lanez has psychological, physical, childhood trauma and has resulted to alcohol abuse disorder. What the, you know what? I need to be a lawyer because you could just say anything at this point. Tory Lanez spoke during the trial for several minutes, according to Megan Cuniff. He said he still cares about Megan. He called her someone I still care for dearly to this day, regardless of what she may think of him. He said the victim is my friend. He talked about bonding with her over the loss of their mothers. We both lost our mothers. We would sit there and drink until we got numb. Tory Lanez said about Megan Thee Stallion. About the shooting, he said, I said some very immature things that I shouldn't have. I revealed some secrets that I shouldn't have.
They do. You go in and you see you get shot in your foot, no bones or tendons. The internet goes into an outrage because some people are like, hold on, how you not get shot? How you get shot in your foot and it don't hit no bones or tendons? Like, whoever is watching this, like, if you need to go on Google and look at a foot anatomy of bones and skeletons and tendons, you realize there's like 30 bones in your feet and like 100 tendons, some crazy number like that, right? So
yeah. I mean, it's really, you know, I'm glad that justice was served. You have people on Twitter saying that 10 years is too much. And I ask you, so if you were shot in your foot, if someone shot you in your foot, what would be enough for you? If someone shot your daughter in her foot, what would be enough for you? If someone shot your mother or your grandmother in their feet, what would be enough for you? This whole situation is really unfortunate, and I think Megan has learned the most from this. She started out with all of these friends, right? Kylie, she was at Kylie's house. Kelsey was her best friend. Tory, they were friends or messing around. And literally none of these people, you know, none of these people, EJ, her stylist, who else? None of these people have proven any type of friendship to this woman. And the old saying goes, with friends like these, who needs enemies? I mean, literally one by one enemies. And you know what? I wish Megan nothing but healing and happiness. Honestly, stay off Twitter, put out a fire album, keep your circle small, I mean a semicircle, and justice was served. Y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years, but Tory Lanez has been sentenced to 10 years in jail. Let me know your thoughts on the reactions. Let me know your thoughts on Megan's and Tory's final statements in the court. And I will see you guys at the next one. Later.